Meet David and Karen Osei. David is 52 years old and works as a senior project manager, making 18 million Nigerian nairas a year. Karen is 49 and works as a school administrator. Together, they earn more than most people in their city. They own a nice home, and their children go to good schools. From the outside, they look very successful, but their actual net worth is only 4.2 million Nigerian nairas. That is all they have after 25 years of hard work. David's father worked until he was exhausted so David would have a better life. David did everything right so his own kids would not have to struggle. Yet despite 2 generations of hard work and 2 good incomes, their savings have barely grown. Something is wrong with this picture, but it is not because David and Karen did something wrong. Most books tell us that you build family wealth by leaving things behind. They say you should leave property, savings, or a business. The rules seem simple. Work hard, spend less than you earn, and your children will start ahead of where you did. That advice is not wrong, but it leaves out the most expensive part of the problem. There's a hidden drain in most middle-class lives. It quietly takes away a family's wealth every time a new generation starts. This happens even if you try hard to save your money. We call this the reset floor. Once you see how it works, you will understand why a high salary alone is never enough. I've spent years studying why some families keep their wealth while others have to start over from scratch every generation. Let us look at what is really happening to your money. Most people believe a simple rule. If you earn a good salary, save your money, and avoid big mistakes, you will naturally become wealthy over time. It makes complete sense to believe this. On paper, the math is simple. If you earn more money than you spend, your extra savings should grow. This is not a strange idea. It is just basic math. But there is a major flaw in this belief. Many studies on middle-class families show that a high income does not always lead to a high net worth. In fact, a household making 18 million Nigerian nairas a year and a household making 8 million Nigerian nairas a year often end up with the exact same amount of savings after 20 years. The gap in their earnings closes, but the wealth gap does not grow the way it should. The reason for this is not bad behavior or reckless spending. It happens because of a hidden cost that grows automatically as your income goes up. Most people pay this cost every single month without ever seeing it on a bill or a receipt. We need to change how we look at money. Wealth is not just about how much you earn, and it is not even just about how much you save. Instead, wealth is about what your life structurally costs to maintain. More importantly, it is about whether that cost is permanent or temporary. When your lifestyle costs too much to keep running, it acts like a leak in your financial bucket, no matter how much water you pour into it. To understand why your savings are not growing, you need to understand a special concept called the reset floor. Your reset floor is the minimum amount of money you must spend every month and every year just to keep your current life from falling apart. This does not include your fun luxuries or your extra savings. This is your absolute floor. It is made up of the fixed bills, regular costs, and family duties that you cannot stop paying without hurting your life, your relationships, or your job standing. Most people never actually calculate this specific number. They might track how much they spend on random things, but they do not track the total amount they are forced to spend just to stay functional every day. The reason this floor stays invisible is because it hides inside normal, everyday choices. It hides inside the house payment that made sense when you bought it. It hides inside the school fees that came with moving into a nice neighborhood. It hides inside the car that your job expects you to drive and the family obligations that no budget spreadsheet ever shows. Everything we talk about next comes down to one single question. How high is your reset floor? And is it getting higher or lower every year? Imagine you're trying to fill a bathtub with water. You have the tap turned on, and water is pouring in steadily. That water is your income. But there is a drain at the very bottom of the tub. It is a slow, constant, invisible drain. It is not a massive, scary leak that floods the room. It is just a regular drain that stays open. Now imagine that every time you upgrade your life, someone quietly makes that drain a little bit wider. This happens when you move to a better neighborhood, buy a nicer car, or choose a more expensive school. The change is not dramatic, but the hole gets a little larger each time. At first, you can see the water level rising slightly inside the tub. It feels like real progress. But over time, the water rises slower and slower. Eventually, even though you are pouring in the exact same amount of heavy water, the level barely moves at all. That drain is your reset floor. The most important lesson here is that this drain does not just affect you. If you pass your lifestyle down to your children without making that drain smaller, they inherit the exact same bathtub. They start their lives with the drain already wide open. Every time we talk about David and Karen, you should ask yourself one thing. Where is their drain? Let's look at two different families to see how the math works. Both families earn the exact same total income of 15 million Nigerian nairas per year. After taxes, they both take home 11.5 million Nigerian nairas. Both families are very responsible and save 15% of their money. That means they each save 1.725 million Nigerian nairas a year, which is about 143,750 Nigerian nairas every month. The first family is Household A. Their reset floor is 7.2 million Nigerian nairas per year. This is the money tied up in their fixed bills. Their house payment, school fees, 2 car payments, loan costs, insurance, and money sent to help extended family. This leaves them with 4.3 million Nigerian nairas for everyday spending after they save their money. Things are tight, but they make it work. The second family is Household B. They have the same income and save the same amount, but their reset floor is only 4.8 million Nigerian nairas per year. Their fixed bills are 2.4 million Nigerian nairas lower each year because they bought a smaller house early on, drove older cars longer, have no loan debt, and manage their family help safely. If you take that 2.4 million Nigerian nairas difference and invest it at a 10% return over 20 years, it grows into a massive 151 million Nigerian nairas. This is where the story changes for their children. When the parents in Household A retire, they have their savings, but they still have their high reset floor. Their big house still costs a lot of money to keep up, and their lifestyle is still expensive. They might have 45 million Nigerian nairas in total savings, but they still owe 6 million Nigerian nairas every year just to live. Their children inherit the family money, but they also inherit these heavy bills. Household B retires with the same work history, but their house is fully paid off, they have no debt, and they actively lowered their bills over 20 years. Their children inherit the family wealth without a massive drain already attached to it. Both families had the exact same income and the exact same saving habits. Yet there's a 106 million Nigerian nairas difference in the actual wealth they can pass down safely. This is not a spending problem. This is a floor problem. Let us go back to David and Karen. David got his first real job at age 27, earning 3.2 million Nigerian nairas a year. He did exactly what every well-meaning person told him to do. He moved into a neighborhood that matched his new career level. He bought a car that fit his job title, and he sent his children to the same schools his coworkers chose for their kids. When he turned 35, David got a big promotion. His income jumped to 8 million Nigerian nairas a year, so he upgraded his lifestyle. He moved into a bigger apartment and bought a newer car. His children's school fees went from 400,000 Nigerian nairas per child to 850,000 Nigerian nairas. He also started sending 120,000 Nigerian nairas every month to help his mother because he finally had the money to do it. By age 45, David was earning 14 million Nigerian nairas a year. For the first time in his life, he felt truly comfortable. He was saving 1.8 million Nigerian nairas every year, and he believed the hardest part of his financial journey was behind him. What David never calculated was that at age 45, his reset floor was 9.3 million Nigerian nairas per year. This was the minimum money needed just to keep his life from falling apart. Every single raise he received had been quietly swallowed up by a widening drain. He only had 2.7 million Nigerian nairas left over each year after his bills, and he saved 1.8 million Nigerian nairas of it. He was doing everything right, but his bathtub drain had been growing wider for 18 years without him ever realizing it. Karen, meanwhile, had been tracking something different. She was not just looking at their total spending, she was tracking their floor. She started doing this at age 41 after reading something that made her realize the danger they were in. She began asking a safe question. Which of these fixed costs can we compress without ruining our life? Over the next 4 years, they made smart changes. They paid off one car and chose not to buy a new one right away. They renegotiated a school fee plan, and they lowered the money sent to family by helping them become more independent. By age 52, they had successfully lowered their reset floor from 9.3 million Nigerian nairas to 6.8 million Nigerian nairas. The exact same income now gave them 2.5 million Nigerian nairas more in actual financial freedom every year. Karen does not brag about this to their friends, but she knows a secret. They're finally building real wealth now, instead of just working to keep up an expensive lifestyle. Why did David fail to see this problem for 18 years? He is not a careless person, and he is not bad with money. He even has his own budget spreadsheet. The real reason is something called lifestyle validation anxiety. This is a quiet, hidden need to prove through your spending that you have finally reached the success you worked so hard for. It does not feel like fear or worry. Instead, it feels like making normal, smart choices. Of course, you want to live in a neighborhood that matches your income. Of course, you want your children to go to schools that match your values. Of course, you want to help your family now that you finally have the money. None of these choices feel like reckless spending. They just feel like being the successful person you worked so hard to become. And that is exactly why the reset floor stays completely invisible. This extra cost does not show up in a category called showing off. Instead, it builds up inside your house payments, your school fees, and your car loans. All of these look like highly responsible adult choices. The financial system also rewards you when your floor goes up. Banks will gladly lend you more money as you earn more. Schools will charge you higher fees because they know you can afford them. Your neighborhood will cost more to live in as the years go on. Your floor does not rise because you are careless. It rises because the entire world around you is designed to grow until it fills up your entire income. This is not a flaw in your character. It is a planned result. The person who escapes this trap is not a better person than everyone else. They are simply the person who named the hidden trap before it could catch them. The most popular belief about money is simple. You build wealth by earning more and saving more. But there's a deeper truth that goes against what most people think. You cannot save your way past a rising floor. Your reset floor must be actively managed and controlled, or it will swallow up every single raise you ever receive in your career. The real-world data proves this is true. The families who successfully pass down meaningful wealth to the next generation are not always the ones who earn the highest salaries. Instead, they're usually the families who kept their fixed bills very low for a long time. They often did this by choice, even when it meant they could not show off their success to their neighbors. They kept their costs down long enough for their savings to grow undisturbed. Here is the most important sentence to remember from this book. The high earner who controls their floor builds real family wealth. The high earner who ignores their floor only builds an expensive lifestyle, and they leave their children to pay the bill. Both paths start with the exact same income and the exact same good intentions. Your reset floor is the one variable that changes everything. What you just read might make you feel a bit uncomfortable. This is not because your past choices were bad, but because it means the real work is much more specific than normal financial advice. Here is exactly where you should start this week. First, calculate your actual reset floor. Look at your last 3 months of bank statements. Write down every single fixed bill and regular duty. This includes anything you cannot stop paying within 30 days without serious trouble. Write down your rent or house payment, loan payments, school fees, fixed family help, and basic insurance. Do not include food, electricity, or fun spending. Add it all up to find your annual total. That number is your reset floor. Most people have never seen this as a single figure. Seeing it is the first step. Second, pick one line on your floor that you can compress over the next 90 days. You do not need to eliminate it completely, just make it smaller. Is there a debt you can pay off faster? Is there a family obligation you can restructure instead of just paying blindly? You're not looking for giant, painful cuts. You are just looking to free up your first 50,000 Nigerian Nairas to 150,000 Nigerian Nairas each month. Once you free that money, put it straight into savings and investments instead of your lifestyle. Just choose one line and take 90 days to fix it. Third, set a floor ceiling and protect it when your income goes up. Write down your current reset floor number. Now, write down a number that is 10% to 15% lower than that. This is your target floor for the next 3 years, no matter how much extra money you start making. Every future raise, bonus, or extra cash prize must go into investments or reducing your debt before you allow your floor to rise. This is the exact rule that separates where David was going from where Karen is taking them. The goal is not to live a poor life. The goal is to make sure your life does not automatically cost more tomorrow than it does today. The families who learn this in their 30s retire with great options. The families who learn it in their 50s have to scramble. And the families who never figure it out leave their children a beautiful life that costs more than it actually makes. Your floor is a choice. Start treating it like one.